Stepkids are taking my house away. Stepkids are kicking me out of my house. What do I do? Stepkids said I have 90 days to vacate the house that I lived in with their father. This is a situation that actually comes up a lot, usually about on a monthly basis, sometimes more. The situation goes like this. A couple, they get married, and maybe they're on their second or third marriage, and so they may have kids from a previous relationship. What happens is that they move into one of their houses. So let's say it's a husband and wife. The wife moves into the husband's house. They live together for several years. They always talk about the fact that the house is just in the name of the husband. The title of the house just has husband's name. It says, this house belongs to Johnny. Well, Sally and Johnny have been married for a long time. They keep talking about it, but nothing ever happens. Or maybe they don't ever talk about it. It doesn't matter. The important part is that Sally's name is not on the title of the house.
Yikes.
And so what happens when Johnny dies, Sally is left in the house that she's been living in for maybe many years, maybe decades. But the children realize that the house is titled in their father's name. So what do? You think that they were your best friends all this time, that they really loved you? Unfortunately, we see more and more where their stepkids will contact the wife, they will contact their stepmother, Sally, and say, Sally, we've been thinking, now that dad's gone, we would really like to sell the house. You've got 90 days. Or Sally, now that dad's gone, we are going to start charging you rent to live in that house. And Sally is absolutely shocked. Again, this usually happens because there is no last will and testament in place, but it actually doesn't matter whether there is a last will and testament or not. If there is a last will and testament, then the husband, Johnny, could have actually said, when I pass away, I want my house to go to my wife, Sally. But if he didn't do that, then we have to look at the laws of intestate succession in the state that Johnny and Sally lived in. And in those laws of intestate succession, they state that a husband and a wife, if they have been married, then the wife or the husband has a right to usually 50% of the estate. Because of those laws of intestate succession and the marital interest that the wife has, that Sally has in the house that was just titled in Johnny's name, she has at least usually a 50% interest in that house. And those stepkids can't just kick her out of the house. Now, there is probably an issue of whether she can continue to live there. But again, in most states, there are laws in place that allow the spouse to claim a homestead. And if they claim that as their marital home, then she can usually, depending on your state, continue to live in that property until her death. And then her half of that house would go to her heirs, not to her stepkids. They still cannot take away, even after death, her interest in that property. So what is the better thing to do? Well, the absolute easiest thing that they could have done, that Johnny and Sally could have done, would have been to title that house correctly. So after they got married, Johnny should have done some type of a deed, usually a quitclaim deed, and transferred the property from his name to his name and Sally. So instead of just having Johnny Smith on there, it should now read Johnny and Sally Smith as the owners of that house. And to give her even more protection, he could change that house into joint tenancy. So it would read something like this: Johnny and Sally Smith, a married couple, as joint tenants with right of survivorship. So that would mean that if Johnny were to pass away first, that house would automatically all go to Sally, 100%. Now, the drawback of that is also that if Sally were to pass away first, then all of it would go to Johnny, but maybe they don't care about it. But if they're thinking about their estate plan and providing for both of their children, for Johnny's children and Sally's children with part of that house, then they really probably need to think about doing a revocable living trust centered estate plan. And in that, they can actually outline in the trust that that house, whoever dies first, that the other spouse has a life estate in that house for the rest of their life, and then once they pass away, then that house can be divided up however Johnny and Sally want it to be divided up. But they need to put that usually in a revocable living trust centered estate plan. You can probably do it with a last will and testament too, but ultimately what that last will is going to create is a trust after the fact. The better thing to do is to create a revocable living trust centered estate plan up front and say exactly exactly what you want to do. Can they kick Sally out of the house? Probably not. Sally has a marital interest in that house, and she has at least, I think in most jurisdictions, at least a 50% interest in that house. And so it's just gonna have to be up to the family to decide what they do as a group, but usually Sally's gonna be allowed to live in that house at least until she passes away. Thanks again to Abby White for editing this video. We really appreciate her. I know I've thrown a lot at you today, so that's why we've prepared our free guide on estate planning. I'll put a link to it in the description below and in the comment section below that so that you can download it and get started in the right direction. And to help you out even more, watch this video up here and this video up here. If you enjoyed this video, then guys, please smash that subscribe button and click on the like button. And also click on that little bell so you'll get notified every time we post a new video. Have a great day and an awesome week. And as always, thanks for watching.